Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Patrick Dang here. Now sometimes you might find yourself in a social situation, whether you're at a party, a networking event, or maybe you see a total stranger and you want to start a conversation with them. Now you may want to talk to them, but you may not know exactly what to say and exactly how you can make small talk. And I know for myself, I was in this exact same situation where, I wanted to have these conversations with people, but I always ended up just asking boring questions where the other person would just answer with one-word answers, and maybe sometimes the conversation would die right there and they would say something like, oh, I see someone I know, and then they would, totally go off. Now, if you ever found yourself in a situation like this, you understand how frustrating it can be to not be able to make small talk, which eventually leads to deeper conversation. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna show you 3 simple ways you can make small talk with anyone. Now, before we go ahead and get started, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, especially if you want to see more videos like this. Now, to get started, let's go ahead and dive right in. The first step when it comes to making small talk with anybody is actually to introduce yourself effortlessly. Now, here's the problem that a lot of people have, right? The first step when it comes to making small talk is that a lot of people don't know how to, start the conversation and approach another person. Now, a lot of people may not even have the courage to go up to someone and start a conversation, and they may overthink it in their heads, and they may end up not talking to anybody. And so you do not want to fall into this camp. Now, here's the easiest way that I found you can use to introduce yourself in any type of social scene, whether it's a party, a networking event, expo, it doesn't matter what it is. So what you want to do is, if you are at one of these events and you see someone that maybe you just want to start a conversation with them, all you have to do is go up to them and say, hey, I don't think we've met yet. I'm Patrick, great to meet you, right? Or, hey, I don't think we've met yet. My name's Patrick. What's your name? Right? So essentially what you're doing here is that you are just approaching somebody, and the first line that you are going to say is, hey, I don't think we've met yet. Why this is so powerful is because if you go up to someone and you start having a conversation with them, they might be thinking in their heads, do I know this person? Have we met before? Can I trust you? Right? All these things are subconsciously going through someone's head. But if you upfront just tell them, hey, we haven't met yet, and you want to introduce yourself so that you can start a conversation, it makes people a lot more relaxed. They know what to expect. And that's essentially how you can pretty much start a conversation with anybody. So in the situation where you don't know what to say, definitely use that line. Now, in other situations, you may be able to use context, the things that are around you, to start conversations, okay? So let's say, for example, you are randomly at a coffee shop and you want to talk to the person sitting right next to you or across from you, right? And I used to spend a lot of time in coffee shops working over the weekends, and I've tried this myself a ton of times, so I know it's gonna work for you. So here is how you use context. The first thing you want to do if you want to start a conversation with the person who's sitting next to you is you want to take a look at what they're working on, right? Some people are working on their laptops, maybe they're writing something, and basically you want to make the conversation contextual when you start these conversations. So all you gotta do is look at the person's computer screen, glance it, don't stalk them, and you just say something like, hey, that looks pretty cool. What are you working on? Right? Simple as that. Now, what usually happens at this point is that the person is gonna think in their heads, oh, you're talking to me and you seem like you're interested in what I'm doing, and then they're just gonna answer you about exactly what they are working on, right? From there, you say something like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm Patrick, by the way, and then you shake their hand. So very simple, right? All you really do is using context, your environment, and saying something like, hey, what are you working on? They answer your question, you say, oh, that's really cool. My name's Patrick, shake their hand, and boom, you basically started the conversation out of thin air. Now, the secret behind this is that you want to make sure you have the right intentions when you are conversing with another person, right? Because people can feel if you are genuinely interested in what they have to say. If you're just trying to make random small talk, I can feed you whatever lines you want to hear, but it's not going to work unless people feel like you're interested. So the best way to do this is to actually care about the people you want to talk to, and trust me, people will notice. Okay, so now that you got the conversation going, the next step of the process of making small talk is to ask questions questions to learn a little bit more about the person you want to talk to. Now, you definitely do not want to ask questions where the person can easily reply with one-word answers. You want to make sure you ask questions that really provoke thought and get people to share their opinions on something. So, for example, if you are at a networking event, you could say something like, hey, what brings you to this event, right? And then people will share about, what company they work at or what they're doing at the event and what they're interested in seeing. In the other example, if you are at a coffee shop and the person you talk to is working on some type of design, you could say, hey, how did you get into design? And they're gonna tell you their backstory of how exactly they became a designer. Or you could say something like, well, I'm just curious, where did you get your inspiration from? And that can open a whole box of dialogue right there. So those are some example questions you can use, but I'm gonna give you a couple more tips when it comes to asking questions, right? The thing is, people love talking about themselves. So all you gotta do is you ask these open-ended questions that allow the opportunity for another person to talk about themselves and the things that they really care about. In fact, I would say that most people are craving for the opportunity to talk about themselves. You just need to open up the dialogue for them to feel comfortable in sharing their stories. And again, if you ask these boring questions that solicit one-word answers, that's not really having a conversation. But if you ask these questions that get people to share about who they are as a person, then you're making real conversation. Now we're gonna go one step deeper when it comes to small talk, and that is really getting the other person to share their emotions and their feelings, right? So you might be doing an okay job so far asking questions, starting the conversation, but let's really take it to a deep level so you actually build rapport and maybe a friendship with another person, right? So here's exactly how you're gonna transition. You want to ask something called a feeling question. And all that basically is just asking the other person how they feel about something, a specific topic or interest that is contextual to your conversation. So I'm gonna give you some examples based on what we've been talking about in this video. So if you are at a networking event or an expo, all you gotta do is say something like, hey, how do you feel about this event so far? Or in the event where you're talking to a designer, you could say, how do you feel about your experience being a designer so far? Do you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life? These are some real powerful questions that can get someone to really think about what they're doing and really share their opinions, right? And a very simple question that you can ask in any type of situation, no matter what context you're in or what kind of environment you're in, is you could say something like, hey, how do you feel about that? Right? Whatever that is, it's contextual to what you were talking about earlier. But if you just ask them, hey, what do you feel about that? And they're gonna share their feelings with you. So what's gonna happen next at this point is the person is going to talk more about their feelings about a certain topic and share their opinions with you. So instead of just talking about surface level things like facts and things like that, you wanna switch it into how people feel. What do they think about certain subjects? What's their emotion? Are they angry? Are they sad? Are they frustrated? These are the emotions that you want to get to really build a connection with another person, right? Because if you really think about it, the only time we really share our opinions about something is one, if we really want to express it for some reason, or two, we are talking to a friend that we trust. So if you are able to follow these steps, start the conversation, ask a few questions to go deeper, and then ask these feeling questions, you're gonna be able to turn these small talk conversations into something deep, more emotional, and allows you to build a relationship with another person. So with that said, that is pretty much the 3 steps you need to take when it comes to making small talk with anybody. Now, if you learned something valuable today, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to turn on that notification bell if you want to see new videos like this. And if you want, go ahead and make sure to subscribe to my email newsletter. All you got to do is click the link in the description to subscribe to that newsletter. Finally, let me know in the comments what you thought about these tips and what kind of videos you want to see in the future, because I'm always open to your suggestions, and I'm happy to make these videos for you. Now, with that said, thank you for your attention. I really hope you guys learned something today, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video.